NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we've got Playa Props here with 8 games on Wednesday night in the NBA. We've also got another episode up with best bets, some sides and totals looks for you guys. So make sure to subscribe to that page and continue to follow along all season with us. Also want you to check out in the description of the video, we've got a link to the email newsletter, and that'll take you over to checking out everything that we've got coming up here on thelines.com as we get full into baseball season coming up. And then obviously got the NBA playoffs with the boys. So we'll be rolling through all of that with you. Check that newsletter out for the bonus parlay as well every Friday. So when that's coming out. So check that out in the description of the video. And let's get right into what we've got here for Wednesday, Nate, and get into your first Playa Prop.
Got to take the MVP here. SGA over 38.5 points and assists is the nicest price you get. I mean, you're right on the cusp here with 31.5 points, and you want to add the dimes if your book is juicing that up. I think you're fine adding the dimes because Memphis is just such a bad defense right now, and they've just lost Triple J. So, like, what are they going to be better at? I mean, they actually allowed the worst field goal percentage at the rim in their last 7, and they lost their rim protector. They're also allowing the most mid-range attempts and the fourth worst field goal percentage on mid-range attempts in that span. So not really surprised. SGA has cooked them twice this season. He's cooking everybody right now. I mean, 32 and 6.5 in his last 10 road games, getting 13 potential assists. The ball's just in his hands so much. Like OKC, honestly, the biggest reason to be skeptical of them like winning a title is just it's all about this dude, right? I mean, if he has an off night in a critical game 6 or 7, like the Thunder are not carrying him. You know, it's just such a one man centric offense, and he's not as versatile as like a Doncic or Jokic to like completely spray the ball around, right, and counter what you're doing defensively. But I mean, that's just kind of a tangent. It's because he's unstoppable, especially I mean when he is on and when he is motivated, and this is a spot for him to be both against a team that definitely tries to rub you the wrong way in Memphis, and people want to smack them down, and it's a contender. So I mean, you trust it to be pretty close. It's a 250 total. It is, you know, a big MVP night if Joker doesn't play, or if he does, whatever. It's just another opportunity for SGA to make the statement. His last 4 against Western Conference playoff teams, he's averaging 40 points and 8.8 assists. So, I mean, you put these two together against a Grizzlies team that has several guys on the questionable tag in addition to Triple J. So, they might be playing some backup guards at times here. So, yeah, it's a vulnerable defense even with their starters, and SGA is gonna cook these boys.
He should. Yeah, he should. I mean, they might try to blitz him and move it out of his hands. It hasn't worked so far this season, and we'll see who's available for this team. But like SGA has been good for 30 to 34 minutes, and their defense has been bad. Straight up, like not like bad for them. It's been bad. I mean, it's been sleepy, right? They've been giving up a good amount of points in the last like 4 or 5 games. Just a little streak of like giving up points that make you stop and go like, whoa, they gave up 128 to the Rockets with nobody. They gave up, you know, $120 to the Nets and almost lost. Like this what's going on here. And I think it's just sleepy. And they are sort of like saying Shai's going to get his minutes 32 to 34, and they're going to be when we normally play him. And he's going to have plenty of time on the floor where it's just Shai and the boys, and there's no real J-Dub, maybe Chet, probably not on the floor, right? So it's really his offense and his world, and you expect to see another like 25 plus shots for him. So I'm good with that. But let's stick in the same game and go under for his counterpart, who is questionable, and that's Ja Morant. He's questionable to play, but he's got a points prop at 23.5 still. I'd take that. If you only have books playing the PRA, you can still get that at 35.5 to the under. So good with that as well. Like, yeah, so it's like some of these books that are playing 23.5 still have the 34, 35.5 PRA. So I would go under there for Ja if he's in. And he was at shoot around with his pal Santi Aldama. They were both there. So looking for them to play, but look, I mean, Memphis is as unreliable of an injury report as you can bank on this season from any team. So just, you know, take everything with a grain of salt until you know what's going on. But you're fine to take the under on Ja. It's not like it's going to shoot up when he's ruled in. So you're not going to get any benefit waiting to bet the under here. Just bet it. If he's out, it gets voided. You get your money back. Primary ball handlers versus the Thunder. Finn. Like, just close your eyes and hit the under when you see whomever is going to be the person handling the ball, a guy that relies on having to get to the rim and can't even pull up from three, like Josh shooting one of his worst 3-point percentages when he was supposed to be getting better and working on that. It's only gotten worse this season. So if you are relying on finishing at the rim and you've got Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein both available in this game, it ain't going to happen, man. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to find easy ways to score for if you're John Morant. You're going to have to like get a jump shot before you can beat the Thunder by yourself. Here's a quick list of the recent primary ball handlers and how they have done scoring wise against the Thunder. Jalen Green, 18 points. De'Aaron Fox, 20. Trey had 19. Ant had 17. And then Keontae George was actually the best here. He had 20 against them, which is at least like over his normal averages. But then you also go look at the prior game with Ant, 23. You get what I'm saying, right? Like guys that play like Ja, but are all actually better at shooting than Ja. So yeah, I think we can kind of rest easy there. If you look at how Ja scores, a quarter of his points come from transition. They are the second best transition defense in the league. This is how he can score. From the free throw line. They are the third worst team in terms of opponent free throw attempt rate and the points that they're giving up at the free throw line. And he scores about 5 a game from there. I don't think that's going to cut it to get you to 24 points. They are fourth best limiting the pick and roll play. They are second best limiting ISO plays. That's all how Josh scores, right? And then if you look at how they are against the catch and shoot, this is like the fourth worst defense in terms of makes and frequency against them in the catch and shoot. And Josh gonna be the one passing there. So, I mean, I'm actually okay with the PRA. Like I said, I like that. But the reason I just went with the points at 23.5 is that number's too high. Can he get 8 and 5 in terms of the assists and rebounds? And then you get a little bit dicey. Sure. Like he could get like 13-ish rebounds and assists reasonably. So I'll just go under on the points. But once again, if you can't get 23.5 and you like the 35.5 PRA, go under on that as well.
Yeah, good look for sure. I mean, even with Caruso out, I think the Thunder have plenty of guys to throw at him. Isaiah Joe might not play, which is probably going to help you get more primary defenders on Ja. And like I'm saying, like their haunches should be up, like to try to not get dunked on by this dude, right? In both a literal and a metaphorical sense, is just like don't let Memphis, come out here and show us they got something. Like this is our conference. So yeah, statement from this OKC defense. I would lean under on 250 or wherever it's going. I know we've tried this multiple times with Memphis and it just never freaking happens, but probably gonna happen eventually. Second pick here, Jonas Valanciunas, 14.5 points. That might be gone everywhere but MGM. I'm fine with 15.5. I don't know if you really want to add any of the peripherals. I mean, the data would suggest he's more likely to get the 3 assists he needs than a ton of rebounds, like 11 boards. Because I mean, Nuggets going to be highly efficient. Joker, if Jokic plays, he is legit questionable here. But if he doesn't play, and Najee and Peyton Watson are both Q, and Aaron Gordon and Strother's out. So we're going to get a lot of DeAndre Jordan, Dario Saric minutes. So like, it's not like those guys are playing Joe Val off the floor. No, sir. They're probably getting worked by this man who's been put on ice most of the season and is now like, hey, I'm on a contender. He's been very, active here in the last 3 for the Kings. And then Sabonis injured. He goes 15, 14, and 7 stocks against Houston. Very impressive. He was able to get the 15 points on 15 field goal attempts in just 23 minutes against a centerless Dallas Mavericks team. So it's a completely different matchup where you'd think they would hook him quick, and it'd just be like, we go small. Also, he was plus 20 in a blowout. So it's like, all right, we don't need him much here. Malik Monk is Q tonight. He actually leads the team in passes since Sabonis went down. Joe Val second, and actually leads the team in front court touches, getting 18 post plus elbow touches per game and scoring 8.5 points per touch. Also tons of rebound chances. But yeah, I mean, if you get the ball down low against this Nuggets team, like you have a very good chance of scoring, whether it's Jokic or one of those backups I mentioned. Older centers, Miles Turner. I'm sorry to lump you in with these really old guys, Miles, but Brolo and Horford all basically 20 plus points in the last few matchups against the Nuggets, and Sabonis, a much younger guy. I'm not saying Valanciunas is Sabonis, but 25.5 this season against Jokic on 20 field goal attempts. So they're making it a priority as a team to just like, Yo, let's get it down low. Let's make this dude bang on defense.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you put like a Sabonis mask on Joval, you maybe be a little bit of time before people realized it wasn't Sabonis. Not necessarily because of how they play, although it's somewhat similar. It's also just like he's just sliding into the same role. Sabonis already sort of diminished his passing role from the like lead passer on the team to taking a back seat, but he's still very involved in the passing game. And Joval just comes in and does the same stuff with the dribble handoff. That's a great way for him to get like 3 to 4 assists right there. And it's insane to me that Jonas Valanciunas, even in a 2-game sample size, is second on the team in front court touches that has Zach LaVine on it and DeMar DeRozan. That's absolutely wild. I think that probably opens up a lot for DeMar in this game too. But again, Zach LaVine just comes in like a germ that causing me to not be able to bet on anybody else on the Kings. But Joval, I was looking at, and I think you're right to leave out the boards. For those of you who were following along in the first half of the season, this Denver Nuggets team was in the bottom 5, limiting rebounds to centers. Well, in the last 15 games, they're the number 1 team limiting rebounds to centers, and in the last 7 as well, number 1 limiting rebounds to centers. So they have done a complete 180. Once Jokic got his guys back out there, he was able to key in on rebounds a little bit more, but he still can't play defense. So the points and the assists, like you're saying, for Joval are a look there, and someone I would have gone to as well if you hadn't brought him up. But instead, I'm going to go elsewhere. First, I'm going to give my little bonus pick, which is Peyton Pritchard over. Period, just whatever. Like, and I think you go for the PRA. The Celtics are going to be on a back-to-back. Yeah, they have a poo-poo team tomorrow on the second night. I believe it's Charlotte, but the team they're playing tonight isn't exactly going to present too. Well, no, I'm sorry. The Blazers will present more of a problem, but the fact that they have Tatum questionable, Jaylen Brown questionable, Kristaps doubtful, Drew doubtful. I believe I'm missing one more questionable tag out there as well. So yeah, there's going to be some guys that are questionable that might not play. Definitely, like one of the Jays, I would imagine at the very
Yeah,
least.
Porzingis doubtful, and they're hosting Philly tomorrow. Just to
Oh, Philly,
correct
thank you.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm now mixing up Philly and Charlotte. That's how bad Philly
Oof.
is. So that's a knock on you, Philly. But let's look at Pritchard. If you get him at, I think it's going to be 14.5 once we see at least one of these dudes missing. I project him for like 17.5 points in 34 minutes. And I think he's good for 34 tonight. Like kind of once we get at least one of those guys out, like I said, I think the rebounds and assists, if you can get 3.5 on either of those stats as well, going over on those here in this one. Like, yes, Portland, very good defense, but I don't think he's ever going to see Tumani Kamara as his main defender. And as long as that's the case, then he should be at least okay to get more involved in the offense, because that man's going to take somebody out. So be careful with your Derek White overs and stuff like that if you don't have the Jays out there. Let's go to my play that I actually have a line for, which is Kyle Filipowski, Flip as he is known to me. Over 27.5 PRA is minus 110 on DraftKings right now. And it's everybody out for Utah. And most importantly, Walker Kessler's out and Drew Eubanks ain't coming through that door anymore. So they don't have a backup center anymore. They just have Flip now, and they're going to be running some small lineups against the Wizards, who are also going to be small. I think Vukcevic is out. He's not going to be playing this one, so they really don't have much outside of Alex Sarr for size, other than Richaun Holmes, but also an undersized center. And Flip is going to be able to take those guys, at least Rashawn, when he's out there, a little bit less fleet of foot. And Flip does spend plenty of time on the 3-point line, hitting a couple threes. I have him for like 5 attempts tonight in the minutes that he should be playing out there. In the games that he's played 28 plus minutes this season, he's at 26.6 PRA. If you look at the specific games 28 plus without Walker Kessler, he's actually at like 27.8 PRA per game. So he's right at about 28. I think he should be projected for about 30 tonight. If you look at the way that he plays, I mean, we've talked about Washington. They haven't gotten better at defending centers. I promise. They're still just as bad as ever. And if you look at the play type stuff for him in terms of pick and roll man stuff, spot up, and then also putbacks and cuts when he's cutting to the lane. He does that really, really well, actually, and plays off of the pick and roll as the roll man, and then is a very good passer. So I do like going for the PRA. You saw him have a big game in the last one as well with the passing. I believe he had a good amount of potential assists as well, not just the actual dimes. I just want to make sure I'm not lying to you about that. Yeah, he had the 7 assists in the last one, and in 2 games ago against the Pellies, and 9 potential assists. Much better Pistons defense in the last one. He only played 24 minutes. Walker Kessler was available. So you get my point here. You should be projecting him for more than 30, and I think he should be at least 30 on the PRA tonight. So love him in this easy matchup.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have too many allegiances in this business, right? I mean, that Isaiah Collier jersey that it has already been shipped to your house is now
Don't do it.
almost a relic. As he's faded, Flip has ascended. Really getting over this prop in some tough matchups, right? I mean, 25 points against Detroit
Yeah,
gets the 26 in just 22 minutes against Mini and dominates Portland, which has been so good down low. So
yeah,
yeah, I mean, anytime you see these other bigs sitting, you immediately gotta go look at him. And then yeah, it's the Wizards. So even this new look Wizards team that is a little bit better on the interior, yeah, I think it's exploitable. And he's just a primary hub now with for this rebuilding Jazz team.
totally. As well, he should be. And like he was getting benched because of his defense at times, and they were playing Drew Eubanks, but he's not there again. And the last thing I'll say is, as far as Collier, yeah, it's still being worn. The kid's like 19, so I can't call it a relic just yet. But the book started giving him 8.5, assist lines, 9.5 assist lines. It just got out of control, and we need to come back down to reality. And we can't just blindly bet that stuff. But there will be a time, and it will be next season, and we'll come back to Mr. Collier. But that's all the time we have for you in Play at Props. Definitely make sure to subscribe to that page. Check out the best bets we have up in a separate episode for you as well. And until we see you next, happy betting.